You need to weigh in on the cost factor and count the cost of being a disciple of Jesus Christ. It will cost you popularity. It will cost you promotion perhaps at times. It will cost you an easy life. You will have to discipline yourself. You will have to buffet your body. You will have to say no to temptation. You will have to say no to this world. You will have to break with the crowd. You will have to be willing to stand alone for Christ. You will have to be willing to walk to the beat of a different drummer and to step out of the crowd, even if no one follows after Jesus Christ. You'd be willing to stand if you're the only person in the world for Jesus Christ. That's the cost factor. You would have to be willing to suffer persecution for Christ. And let me tell you, it will come. It might even cost you your life. He is not coming to play games. He is not coming to be docile. He is coming to dominate, and He is coming to slaughter. He is the King of kings, and He is the Lord of lords. And at the end of this age, He will vault out of heaven on a white steed, and His garments are dripped in blood, the blood of His own enemies, and He is coming back to conquer and to damn. You need to make terms of peace with this coming King, or you will be subjected in damnation forever. And Jesus Christ has made terms of peace. You need to settle out of court with Him. You do not want to go into that final day of conflict with Christ, where He will be ruthless in the execution of His justice. But He offers you mercy today. He will agree to terms of surrender. He will agree to terms of peace, but they are His terms of peace, not ours. And His terms of peace are very simply this: you must hate your own father and mother and brother and sister and even your own life more than me, or you cannot be my disciple. And you must take up a cross and follow me, or you cannot be my disciple. And if you do not, you will meet me in the final judgment, and it will glorify God in your destruction.
Shalom Aleichem Yisrael, peace be on you. Yehonathan we with you here humbly so on what they call the 18th of June 2023 of the year of their Lord. On my new time, my first time live in the studio in 3 weeks. 12 to 1. Tell your friends, tell your pastor, tell your enemies. Yahweh for Hebrew Christians. That was a very inspiring intro from Pastor Steve Lawson about the cost of discipleship, the cost of following. He says Jesus, but you know we use the correct Hebrew names here, because last week the post is out, the YouTube video. Please subscribe and support and like the YouTube channel. I was not live here in studio, but we did give the message, and I do have it recorded on a channel, and we're talking about the cost of following Yahwehshua. And really, all He wants is all you have. All you have is all He wants. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Please stay by for the end of this broadcast to hear the continuation of that inspiring sermonette by Pastor Steve Lawson. So Brother Chris is going to finish that out on the outro. So what we now are in is in what looks like to me 3 days, consecutive days of a fuselage of miracles and Yahwehshua being followed on this side of the river, on that side of the river, back and forth all around. No rest, no food, no eating. It's just, He is just being worn down. And we see that once again with cognitive dissonance and just a forced refusal to believe and submit and teshuvah and turn and repent Yahwehshua then pulls a new tool out of his tool belt called parables. And so he's going to give the Basor message, which is the good news. The good news is the kingdom. He is the kingdom of Yah, and he's going to do it in parable form. So he gives one parable after another, one parable after another, one parable after another. And those who have circumcised hearts, those who have ears to hear, get it. Then we see that another new thing going on is he's going to the Goy, going to the Goyim, going to the nations. And Brother Chris is going to take us to Luke 9:51 through 56.
Him, for he who is not against us is on our side.
Now it came to pass, when the time had come for him to be received up, that he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem, and sent messengers before his face. And as they went, they entered a village of the Samaritans to prepare for him. But they did not receive him, because his face was set for the journey to Jerusalem. And when his disciples James and John saw this, they said, Lord,
do you want us to command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, just as Elijah did?
But he turned and rebuked them.
You do not know what manner of spirit you are of. For the Son of Man did not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them.
And they went to another village.
So we see here, now, in the first year of his ministry, we know he met the Samaritan woman at the well. And she was the first ever person to share the Basor message. So we have, it wasn't a man, it was a woman, and it wasn't a Hebrew, it was one of the a Goyim, one of the nations, foreign nation. And she went and spread the news of this man. And when he came back, the whole town came out. So they received him. Now we have, almost a year later, the Samaritans, this group of Samaritans, this town, rejecting him. And the disciples are still back in the 8-track era, not going into the new way of communicating. They still want to go back to the old school, and they want to bring down fire like Elijah did in 2 Kings 1 through 17 on the town. They still going thinking his old thinking. No, we not supposed to go to them anyway. We supposed to go to the Hebrews. Y'all going to reject us? So they were rebuked by Yahwehshua, because what he's doing is he is unfurling a renewed understanding of the covenant. Yahweh for Hebrews and Christians teaches that there's only one covenant. Everything, we're just in different dispensations of the same covenant. Yahweh does not react. He is proactive. He is not reacting to different changes of men and times. He always had in plan to do what he is doing. It's just that the revelation comes along the way. And the revelation at this point now is this message is going to the Jew and to the Gentile. It's going to everyone, the Hebrew and the Greek. And they still not getting it, because we didn't read in Luke 9 the earlier verses 43 to 45. Yahwehshua sharing his heart and his heaviness. Remember, this is eternity, who is housed in flesh. So he has flesh like us. And he was saying, you know what? They're going to kill me. I'm going to die. They're going to kill me. And they didn't really get that. They didn't sink into that. You know what their response was after that? They started in verses 46 to 48, which we did not read, talking about who's going to be the greatest in the kingdom. Wait a minute. Your leader, your quarterback, your top man, the one you're following, says they're going to kill him. He's going to be killed. He's going to die. Y'all talking about who's going to be the greatest in the kingdom? Still not getting it. Still thinking about the plan is going to be to overturn the Romans. And that the Messiah, Yahwehshua, the anointed one, is going to set up a kingdom here, and Israel is going to be self-sovereign again. Going back to where it was. Why? So they can fail again? They failed under David. So they still had this same thinking. And the theme of this first year and a half of the ministry, Yahwehshua going out, we see that it was not really the men, none of the young bucks, none of the men of warring age followed Yahwehshua. It was the lame, the sick, the infirm, the poor, the impoverished, older men, some of the older leaders, a few of them, the women and the children. None of the strong war of age men. This was the theme. They did not get this new unveiling of the covenant. They didn't get it. And I submit to you today, June 18th, happy Father's Day, by the way, to all you wonderful fathers. On Father's Day, 2023, I submit that most of our Hebrew brothers and sisters are still not getting it. They're still not getting it, the revelation of this renewed covenant. Here they are, boots on the ground, right there with the man, and they didn't get it. They're talking about who's going to be greatest in the kingdom that he's going to set up on the earth. Not getting it. He's right there in their faces. And you think you're going to get it today with people like myself? Well, I pray that you do. I think more and more of us are starting to get it, but it will happen. All right, brother, go to Mark 6, 1 through 6. This is our theme
Then he went out from
today.
there and came to his own country, and his disciples followed him. And when the Sabbath had come, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many hearing him were astonished.
Where did this man get these things?
And what wisdom is this which is given to him, that such mighty works are performed by his hands?
Is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary, and brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us?
So they were offended at him. But Jesus said to them,
A prophet is not without honor, except in his own country, among his own relatives, and in his own house.
Now he could do no mighty work there, except that he laid his hands on a few sick people and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief. Then he went about the villages in a circuit, teaching.
Wow, that brings us to today's topic, Yahwehshua Rejected. Na'ats, rejected. Na'ats. Wow. Now he does all these great things. A year and a half, going about doing all these great things, raising people from the dead. Then he comes home, you think you get a hero's welcome. Wow. The local boy does good. The local boy made good. He's coming back. And you think the banners will be out, the confetti, cheering on. And what do they get? They're like, what? That's the brick mason's son, by the way. Yahwehshua was not a carpenter. That's just another European lie that we dispel here. He was a brick mason, like his father, biological supposed father. Brick mason. And, the word they had there, the Greek word is tekton. And the Hebrew equivalent to that is Hebrew 11:29, bana. And if you think about it, it makes sense why he would be a brick mason and not a carpenter. For one thing, when this covenant started, it came with the Exodus from Egypt. What were we doing? Making bricks. And then they had us making bricks without straw. He is our leader. So his children was making bricks. He was a brick mason. And look at the Hebrew word for son. I know our Jewish brothers say it's ben, but if you look at the word, it's bane. Son is bane. Stone is bena. You think that's just a quickie dink? Who is the cornerstone? Yahwehshua, the chief cornerstone. And who is the... So you got the whole thing about bricks and stone. He is not a piece of wood. He's a cornerstone that everything gets built off of. And matter of fact, let's go to the next one. 1 Corinthians 3, 10 to 15 to show you why our European brothers want to confuse us and really belittle our Savior by calling him a carpenter. And we're going to see why right here. 1 Corinthians 3, 10 to 15.
According to the grace of God, which was given to me as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another builds on it. But let each one take heed how he builds on it. For no other foundation can anyone lay than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. Now if anyone builds on this foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, each one's work will become clear, for the day will declare it, because it will be revealed by fire, and the fire will test each one's work, of what sort it is. If anyone's work which he has built on it endures, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as through fire.
Wow, did you get that? Shaul is saying that, he's the master builder of them, but who is the creation master builder is Yahwehshua. And he gave the order of materials, the rank of materials. And you see that fire destroys everything but the highest rank of materials. It ain't going to destroy gold. It ain't going to, certainly not going to destroy stone. It's not going to destroy. So they gave you a lower, lesser grade material, wood to burn up. And Shaul says your works are going to be exposed by fire. Fire is our trials. So they give us a Jesus, a European Jesus, wearing a Greek clothing with a hem on it instead of Hebrew clothing with seats. Like we taught you that last week. If you go to the channel, he had seats. That's why the theme of Yahweh for Christians is original words gives you original truth. So when you get to the original words, you get a better mental picture of what you're seeing, what you're reading. What you're reading, I give you a better picture of what you should see. What you see is a man wearing Hebrew clothing with seats. Remember, I told you he was albino. He wasn't. I know he wasn't. I hurt your heart right there. You wish he was all thick, black and all that, but he wasn't. But he was a black man. But he was albino. Nevertheless, we see that they also give you an inferior artisan. This person who, whenever he builds, whatever his works can be burned up by fire. Yahwehshua's works are eternal. They cannot be burned up by fire. He was not a carpenter. So I want you on your own to go back to 1 Corinthians 3, 10 to 15 and get the deeper understanding. Remember, this whole thing with parables is about having a deeper understanding of the message of the kingdom. Yahwehshua is the key of knowledge. And any lack of understanding is a disconnect between you and connecting him to the message. He is in the crux of every message. He is the crux. So he is the cornerstone. He is the bane. Bane is a Hebrew word for son. He is the Benah, which is stone, the cornerstone. You see the parallelism there? You don't get wood in there. You don't get a carpenter in there. Now, to be truthful, that word could be used for any kind of artisan, including a carpenter. But they chose that because it belittles the man. There ain't no Hebrews that wrote interpreted this KJV. Any other ones you got out there? They all serve to distract, to lead us to a false understanding of the Most High Yah. So we got this man here who is rejected in his own town. You think had a street named after him and everything? Had a park, Yahwehshua Park, Yahwehshua Boulevard. Banners and everything would be already set, and think that we even have a day. His birthday will already been a holiday. Happy birthday to you. You think all that be already set after a year and a half of doing things no one has ever done before, and they come in and get rejected. His own family didn't believe he was who he said he was. His own family at that time. We know later they did. By this time, you see his father's dead. His father died pretty early, I guess, but his father's dead by this time he comes back. His biological father. And so we see that he's rejected, and this is still true today. Most of my followers are not local. The people who contact me, the people who never seen me, don't even know me. You're not without honor except in your own confines. They don't respect you. They don't see. They know all the mistakes you made earlier, all the things you've done. They saw you growing up. They saw your little snotty nose, and they don't respect you for the power that you have now. Now that Yahweh put you on the wheel, and cleaned you up, and strengthened you up, and gave you a purpose, and you're living fruitfully in that purpose. They don't want to see all that. They gonna keep you stuck back in where they saw you before. But don't do that. Don't allow that to be done to you. You continue in the faith, furor, and power that the Most High gave you. I know I'm going to do that. So now we see that he is rejected. Na'at, rejected. At doing all this great work. Another thing about this builder, which is of stone and not wood, we talked about the number 12 last week. It is a master builder number. This is why he chose 12 disciples, and we know that the kingdom of heaven is going to have 12 foundations, 12 gates, and we're going to have the 12 tribes, the 12 disciples. All this is the whole alliteration of 12. The theme of 12 is there. You should get this, and this is a builder number of stone and gold, not wood. Now that takes us, my brother, to Matthew. Chris, take us to Matthew 10, 1 through 4. Yeah, Matthew 10, 1 through 4.
And when he had called his 12 disciples to him, he gave them power over unclean spirits to cast them out, and to heal all kinds of sickness and all kinds of disease. Now the names of the 12 apostles are these: first, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, Philip, and Bartholomew, Thomas, and Matthew, the tax collector, James, the son of Alphaeus, and Lebbaeus, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him.
So we see we got the 12 that he chose. And matter of fact, this is what was given to him. And man, there's only one place in the so-called New Testament where it is documented that Yahwehshua prayed all night into the morning. Although we know he did that routinely, but specifically it says he did that right before coming down the mountain and getting these 12. This is what his father gave to him. You're like, man, you couldn't do better than this. This crew, these rascals, they put this brother through it. Okay, go ahead.
These 12 Jesus sent out.
Do not go into the way of the Gentiles, and do not enter a city of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Okay.
And as you...
Now this is their first time going out. So just like when he started going out, he went only to Israel. And then later, we see going to the Samaritans. So the same thing with the disciples. Their initial calling is for Yahweh's genetic covenanted peoples. But later they will be called to go out. But this is just want to clarify that. Okay.
And as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons.
Okay.
Freely you have.
So once again, every time, without exception, when the Basura is given out, they do just that right there. It started off with his cousin John, so-called Baptist. They never ever touted Moshe. They always talked about that, preaching the healing sick, raising the dead, freeing the prisoners, taking care of the homeless, the poor, all these kind of things. Loving me, loving your neighbor. Every time, that's the same theme. It's never about going back to where you came from. You're moving forward. Go ahead, brother.
Have received, freely give. Provide neither gold nor silver nor copper in your money belts, nor bag for your journey, nor 2 tunics, nor sandals, nor staffs, for a worker is worthy of his food. Now whatever city or town you enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and stay there till you go out. And when you go into a household, greet it. If the household is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whoever will not receive you, nor hear your words, when you depart from that house or city, shake off the dust from your feet. Assuredly I say to you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city.
So you either trust a man or you don't. Now you got money in your bank. Do you every 5 minutes check the account to see if it's still in there and see how much you got? Do you keep checking the money in your account? You just go out and do what you got to do. You know that the money is in there. Why you gotta keep checking to see what's in there? Is Yahwehshua the man or not? If he is, why are you trying to go ahead and preserve things for yourself? Take charge of yourself. Trust him to feed you, clothe you, house you when you go out there and do this work. That's what he's saying. Don't go out there and make all these preparations like it's your ministry, that you are doing it, and it's all about you. It's about him. And he didn't have none of that stuff. He lived by faith. He's teaching us to live by faith. I'm not saying I have a job to go do tomorrow. I'm not saying that. When he sends you out, you don't worry about the how. He takes care of the how. You do what? You do the what. And you do it when he tells you. And that's what you do. And you do it in faith and power. He does the how. He takes care of the how. Don't talk about what you don't have. You're going to use the resources you do have.
Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to councils and scourge you in their synagogues. You will be brought before governors and kings for my sake, as a testimony to them and to the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, do not worry about how or what you should speak, for it will be given to you in that hour what you should speak. For it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father who speaks in you. Now brother will deliver.
Once again, this is not about you. You're going to go out and stop scripting things and planning things. How you going to, hey, he going to say this, I'm going to say that, I'm going to do. No. Ruach HaKodesh is in you. You go forward in the power and faith of that. Also, we go out, we're innocent. We go out transparent. Transparent, you're not trying to use any kind of trickeration here. In that, someone can see that as weakness or somebody who's not smart, but it's not true. He's saying you're going to be harmless, but that doesn't mean you're not going to be wise. You're going to be honest, but that doesn't mean you're not going to be shrewd. You still got to be shrewd. You still got to be wise, even though you're upright. Because you have to understand the workings of the enemy's hands. You have to understand how he operates, how he works. Just because you out here doing a good thing don't mean everybody's going to receive it, everybody's going to believe it, and no one's going to try to undermine it. This Yahwehshua has now gone on through 4 consecutive days of no rest and no break. He's now, this is right here, handing off the baton as practice, because he didn't fully get the baton until after the ascension. But he's giving them the baton for some practice laps. This is how you run around the track. This is how you do it. All right, give a brother a break a little bit. Let me go over here. I try to get some rest and bottom boat. Y'all didn't let him get no rest. Y'all go ahead, do what I tell you to do. I'm going to breathe on you, give you a little bit of spirit to go out there and do these things that you saw me do. You've been with me. You got front row seats to the anointed one. Front row seats. No filtered. No unfiltered. No chaser. Straight up. Hard meat right here. And you've been with me all this time, seeing what I do. You need to do. I'm empowering you to do likewise. Here goes, brother.
Now brother will deliver up brother to death, and a father his child. And children will rise up against parents and cause them to be put to death. And you will be hated by all for my name's sake. But he who endures to the end will be saved.
So, even though you're doing all this good stuff, once again, just like me, you're going to be rejected. Don't think because you feeding people and healing people, they're going to love you. I fed people and healed people, and they hated me and rejected me and calling me the Lord of the Flies. And don't think everybody in the household is going to be doing flips. You're going to have family divisions. I know. If I was to open the lines, I have people call and tell me about the problems they have in their families once they received Yahshua. Once they received them, you have exactly what this man just said. husband against wife, wife against husband, children against parents, parents against children, brothers against sisters, siblings. It's going to be a problem. Everybody's not going to be at the same page, at the same time, the same level, in the same way. It's not going to happen, he said. Doesn't mean it can't happen. Some do. But most don't. I can testify to it myself. I can testify to not being received with the understanding of the knowledge of the power that Yahweh gave me in my own home, and understanding who I am and what I'm here to do. I can attest to the whole family not singing Kumbaya. Because somebody comes in the door with the knowledge of Yahweh don't mean everybody's going to just Kumbaya. Na'at. Rejected. That is what even she should even be expected, is to be rejected. That's what we're seeing now in the first almost 2 years of this ministry now. Is calling evil what is good. That was Isaiah 5:20. That's why Yahwehshua says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. You're doing good works and they're going to call it evil. Yet he says you must press on and endure. Don't give up. He gave the parable of the seeds. It was one of the first ones. And some of the seeds, one parable was that the seeds got on shallow ground. They grew up fast and then they withered away. So they did believe, they did grow, but a little bit of sun and they fell away. Just a little bit. So this, Pastor Williams, I love what he said yesterday in the Shabbat service. He said, we are built for the struggle. You were created to struggle. We got our name through struggle. Yaakov was laying on the rock, the Bane, which represented Yahwehshua, had the dream of the ladder, which the Hebrew word is sulam, which means the DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. He had a DNA dream. The Hebrew word is sulam. And the KJV, they called it a ladder. It was a DNA strand. It went from him to heaven. And the RNA messengers, oh, I'm so deep. This is deep. Hear it. Shema. The RNA message going up and down the DNA strand. The angels in the Bible say they were angels. That's RNA coming from this genetic man back to heaven, up and down. Yahwehshua came through that man. He's saying, for my people, my genetic peoples. But the message is going to go to everybody. So don't do no haterade. But he starts this covenant with his own genetic peoples. And we saw later what happened. Yaakov wrestles with Yahwehshua. Yahwehshua inflicts his hip. Then he starts getting that brother bop after that. This is where you get that. You see it on Fat Albert. You remember the cartoon Fat Albert and how they walk? And we have style of our walk. This comes from Yaakov. Yaakov had a limp from that point on. He had a bop to him. Yahwehshua took his hip out of socket, gave the man brother bop. Yahwehshua was born with the same bop. That same dip in his hip. That same stride. That's how he walked. Just like a brother. That's we got our signature walk. That's how the Messiah walked. Just like he made Yaakov walk. And he changed his name to Yisrael. What does Yisrael means? He who strives with Elohim. So we are built. He built us for the struggle. How else could you handle 400 years of this crap you're going through? How else could we do it? No other peoples could have gone through what we've gone through and survive. Not only survive and thrive. He gave us practice in Egypt. Had us under heavy bondage. And what did we do? Kept on proliferating like fish. The harder they worked us, the more babies we made. Say, make these bricks without straw. Do you see the connections I'm putting here? It's all a circle. My brother said, It's all a circle. It's all a circle. We thrived in Egypt. And they worked us harder. We kept on making babies. Come home, make more babies. They couldn't even kill them because the women was having the babies too fast. Then we come over here. And we still proliferating this joint. Put us in slavery, which is worse than bondage. And we still thrive. We were made for the struggle. That's why he called you Yisrael. Made for this. He built us. He is the chief builder. And he built you in your DNA. to succeed. He built us to succeed, to thrive. Strong, high, and tall. Lift your chin up and your shoulders back and your chest out and walk with power. Pull your pants up. Love your wife or whom you love, your boo. Love your wife. Love your husband. Love your man. Take care of your children. Okay, you had a bad relationship and now she got 2 children over there and you with somebody else and you got a child here. You better take care of those 2 over there. Or you're not a man. That's what the record says. You are a child of the living Yah. Conduct yourself like it. I ain't going to say act like it because we're not actors. We don't pretend. Conduct yourself like it. You are built for this. That's why your sister got hips and butt top. We are strong people and we built the world. We built this nation and our knowledge built the world. And everything on this phone, all the ingredients on this phone came from the deep dungeons of Africa. In the deep caves, they dig deep and mine things to make everything that we have. All the wealth of that land, so-called Africa, is building the world. You're built for this. Don't give up. Don't give up. All you have is all he wants. All Yahweh wants is all you got. That's it. Nothing more. And definitely nothing less. Stay. I ain't going to say hanging there because you know what they did to... You know what they did to us with this word hanging. I'm going to say stick in there. Stay with it. Stay on track. Stay in Yah. Go ahead, brother.
When they persecute you in the city, flee to another. For assuredly I say to you, you will not have gone through the cities of Israel before the Son of Man comes. A disciple is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for a disciple that he be like his teacher, and a servant like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more will they call those of his household? Therefore, do not fear them, for there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, and hidden that will not be known. Whatever I tell you in the dark, speak in the light, and what you hear in the ear, preach on the housetops. And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin, and not one of them falls to the ground apart from your Father's will? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear, therefore. You are of more value than many sparrows.
Wow.
Therefore,
isn't that inspiring? Can you imagine listening to this man speak to you? He's telling you already ahead of time. Don't look to people to pat you on the back and smack you in the butt and kiss you and praise you and name streets after you and donate money for the cause. Expect opposition, but they're only speed bumps. He says over and over again, don't fear. Even in the so-called Old Testament, I counted up one time, I forget the number, but hundreds of times Yahweh says, don't fear. Esau thrives in fear. And he tries to instill fear in Yahweh's people. And this is what he does with all his pandemics and all of his wars and all this unemployment and inflation and diseases and all his laws and rules and regulations. He tries to instill fear in Yahweh's people. Do not fear. He is your bread. He is your meat. He is your drink. He is your raiment. He is your covering. He is your balm in Gilead to your soul, to your heart. He is Yahweh Rapha, your healer. He's telling you this. Go for it and do what I told you to do. Don't be afraid of the na'ats, of the rejection. You continue forward. If they hated me, the green tree, they're going to hate you, the dry tree. Look what they're doing to me. And they haven't even seen what they're getting ready to do to this brother. Look where I am. My own family don't believe I said I am who I am. I am who I said I am. So, and we know later that they did. But his own town rejected him. He didn't have his own day. He didn't have his own song. They gave David a song. Why couldn't he get? And David didn't raise nobody from dead. David didn't give sight to the blind. He didn't cause anybody dumb to speak and deaf to hear. They gave him a song. And the women sang it in the streets. It made the top 40 #1 hit. Yahwehshua ain't had nothing coming. He ain't get nothing coming. Nothing. But a hard way to go and a short plank to get there on. And he's telling you, I'm sending you out the same way. But, like me, you endure. See, people are hypocritical. They sing that song, following Jesus, step by step following him, just a little closer walk with you and all that. But if you do that, realize that walk ended in death. Which one of the disciples had a 401k plan? Which one had healthcare benefits and all that stuff? And had retirement money? Who had SSI, SDI, any of those I's? They all were murdered. Except Yachanan, who died of old age. They tried to kill him. They threw him in vats of oil. He survived it. So since he survived it, because of the laws of double jeopardy, they sent him to the island of Patmos. So he was in pain in his last years of life as he wrote the so-called book of Revelations. In pain. Healing from being boiled in oil. So he died of old age. But the rest of them was, but still, they had brutal lives. They didn't have no pillow package deal. Because then who wouldn't sign up for this? Yahwehshua wants those who love him. You know, it's just like Pastor used an example, also Pastor Williams, and I've done it before too. But you know, that's just, I don't think of somebody. LeBron James. I mean, he's a married man, as far as I know, happily married man. You know, so that's fine. I'm just picking a name because he's, you know. But he's LeBron James. If he and I went out to a club, I mean, people going to swamp and follow him. I suppose I'm a better person if they sit to know me. I mean, is he going to say these people? He's going to know whether they love him because of who he is, or because he's LeBron James, or because he got money and popularity and fame. Me, poor black broke brother. Anybody hanging with me, they must really like me, cause I ain't got nothing to give them. If my wife loved me, she must love me because I ain't got nothing. And I'm sure LeBron James' wife loved him. I'm not going. I'm trying to make an example. If you're rich, wealthy, popular, and people thronging you, how do you know whether it's because they really genuinely resonate with you for whatever reason? That's your homeboy want to play ball with you because he knows you got, you know, his benefits hanging with you. He might get you overflow of women. Get something because you hang with, oh, you know him, okay, and they hang with, you know. Do they truly care about you? Do they truly care about you? So if you get broke like Job, will they mock you? Will they leave you? Where was Job's friends? He was the wealthiest man on earth. Once he got afflicted, where were they? 3 friends came up and mocked him. Another one came up, he was halfway eyed. So Yahwehshua was saying, hey, listen, you're going to have to love me with everything and love me with nothing. Because you ain't got jack and I loved you. I'm dying for you. And you ain't got nothing to offer me but a hard way to go. And that's all you did was me. Just give me a hard way to go. Stephen said it. He said, from the time of Egypt, we have always rejected Yahwehshua. Always. So we didn't understand who he was when he came. Just like we didn't understand what the manna was when it was dropped down on us in the desert. Like Pastor Williams says. Okay, my brother. So now you're going to now you're going to Mark 6. Is that what you're on? Or are you still on another one?
I'm still on. We still got 2 minutes.
On
Matthew.
Of Matthew? Okay, well go ahead. Go ahead. I'm thankful for that,
Therefore,
brother.
whoever confesses me before men, him I will also confess before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, him I will also deny before my Father who is in heaven. Do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be those of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it. He who receives you receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. He who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward, and he who receives a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whoever gives one of these little ones only a cup of cold water in the name of a disciple, assuredly, I say to you, he shall by no means lose his reward.
Wow, he said it's gonna be rough, y'all. He said, bruh, you sure you want to come over here with me? It's gonna be rough. He said, it's gonna be rough, bruh. You sure you want to come over here? Because it ain't gonna be like we're gonna be going to the party, hey, and I'm gonna have all the women, you gonna get the overflow. It ain't gonna be none of that. You gonna get your butt chewed up and handed to you. See, just make sure your works are pure, without malice, or to burn up. Like we read in 1 Corinthians 3:10-15. Your works will be exposed by the trials. They're going to get exposed. If you're there for all the glam, because you're going to get all the likes on social media, and you on the magazines, and you up there, is that what you want? That's short-lived. So, the disciples are sent out to teach repentance, not Moses. The sower, just like John the Baptist, just like the Samaritan woman, the demoniac. Remember the demoniac? He went out and taught this. The blind men, they all went out and taught. Yahwehshua did not teach Old Testament stuff. Each disciple lost his life for this. And we know what Yochanan the Baptist paid for this. He paid for this. The sword got some message with his head. With his head. Young man in his 30s, mid-30s, strong, strapping man, doing what he was supposed to do with such power and vigor and force. Even the scribes and Pharisees couldn't deny that man was anointed. Yahwehshua even one time said, listen, y'all going to question I am who I say I am. I tell you this. John the Baptist, who was his inspiration, and what did he say about me? Because see, he was baptized by his cousin John the Baptist, and they didn't want to speak. They said, well, we don't know. Because they know if they endorse John the Baptist, and if they endorse John the Baptist, he's saying, that how come you now don't accept me? Because John the Baptist baptized me for this, what I'm doing. So you're rejecting me? When John the Baptist, who y'all endorse, that's how powerful John the Baptist was. He wasn't questioned by even the scribes and Pharisees who are arguing against Yahwehshua. The same ones who are calling him Beelzebub honored John the Baptist. As a matter of fact, in the very beginning, and if you remember, we're in this Bemil Altar series, and when we finish today, we will have finished the second year of the ministry. So starting next week, we go into the third and final year of his ministry. So after today, we are 2/3 finished the Bemil Altar series, which means in his own words. So we see that in the beginning of the first few lessons here, Yahwehshua sounded like he was plagiarizing John the Baptist. The things he was saying sounded just like his cousin. Because repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand, is the message. Just like Jonah when he came out of that fish. Repent. Because Yahweh's about to open up a can of whoop on Nineveh. He's about to open up a can of whoop on Nineveh. That's all. He didn't say stop eating pork. He didn't say that. Put them crab crab sandwiches down. He did not say that. He didn't do that. And that's what Yahweh for Hebrews Christians is all about right now. It's about that simple message. And if you get bored, then that means you're one of those seeds that grew up and didn't take root and shoot up and take fruit. Because you wanted the microwave. This is the oven. You're going to get it slow, cooked, crock pot. You ain't getting nothing quick here. You're only getting this one good thing, and it tastes better every day, just like the next day beans. It just tastes better the next day and the next day. Beans don't taste worse as it goes on. They taste better. That stuff tastes better as it goes on. So we see that the cost of following Yahwehshua, the cost of discipleship, is all that you have, and it's not going to end in a plushy 401k pie at the end of the rainbow. It's not going to do that. You're not going to land on a soft pillow. Now that means you could. I mean, Abraham landed on a soft pillow, but he was not where the promise was supposed to be. He still didn't see. He still lived Toshab. He was still a foreigner in his own land. Yitzhak, yeah, he ended his last few years happy, but he still only had those two sons. One of them was wicked and evil. They still was not in charge of the land. He still was living Toshab as a foreigner. Yes, Yaakov ended up his last 17 years happy because he got his son back, Yusuf. But he ended his last 17 years of his life in Egypt, not in the land that he's supposed to be proliferating with the covenant peoples that he had to dream about. Dawid, yes, he was the king, but he died sick, and he had to make his son Shlomo the king and all that. I mean, you're going to have a modicum of relief because Yahweh loves us and He has mercy on us. But you should not go into this thing with the plan of having, 30 days a year of vacation on Maui and Hawaii and wherever else. Don't have it planned that you're going to get multiple wives and all this kind of stuff, and you're going to have a holiday named after you. It's not about you. It's not about you. Now for our our final verse today. Let's go to Luke 9, 7 through 9.
Now Herod the Tetrarch heard of all that was done by him, and he was perplexed, because it was said by some that John had risen from the dead, and by some that Elijah had appeared, and by others that one of the old prophets had risen again.
John I have beheaded, but who is this of whom I hear such things?
So he sought to see him.
Ha! Herod scared. He's scared because he's saying, wait a minute, who is this Yahwehshua man? They're saying this might be Yochanan the Baptist who you beheaded. He said, yeah, I killed him. Did he resurrect? Others said, well, maybe that's Elijah. Maybe he came back. I mean, Yahwehshua is doing some things. He is on the front page of the New York Times now. He is out there, and he is the top. He got the most hits on social media, and it's a big storm of lovers and haters. It's a big fight over this man. He's the one you love to hate and hate to love, and he's out there. He's popular. He's infamous. He's infamous, and he's got Herod worried. He said, whoa, I mean, he's going to come back for me. So now that's going to finish. I want to leave a little bit early because I want to finish up this inspiring. My outro is going to be with Pastor Steve Lawson. And I just thought it was just such an inspiring piece. But again, share and like. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I got a lot of good hits last week. I appreciate that. We want this ministry to thrive and to grow. Please, I'm not asking for no money. I mean, you can't give a brother some money stuff, but I'm not asking for that. I want this message to go out because it's not about me. It's not about anything but him. And we're going to continue with this series, and we're going to the third. We're in the last third of it. Pray for the Shalom of Yisrael. Yehonatan Dawid here. Shalom Aleichem. Peace be on you.
You must transfer the ownership of all that you are and all that you have to all that He is. That's what He's saying.
Good, don't worry, we're going to get it back up. I want you to hear this. This is powerful. He's going to pull that back up. This man is laying it down. He is laying it down, and it's so inspiring. That's why I want to.
It's refreshing.
It's refreshing. Okay. But that happens because, brother, because this word is powerful.
It's too powerful.
Yeah, and the enemy is trying to. He got it back up. He's fighting us. That's all.
Here we go.
All right.
If it is now His life. Your time is no longer your time, it is now His time. Your possessions are no longer your possessions, they are now His possessions. Your future is no longer your future, it is now His future. Your treasure is no longer your treasure, it is now His treasure, and you have transferred all that you are and all that you have to all that He is. That's what it is to meet His terms of peace. Yet the exchange is not bartered or bought with real money, but it is purchased with the total, complete surrender of your life to Christ. That's what saving faith is. It is coming to the end of yourself and completely and entirely entrusting all that you are and all that you have to all that He is. This is your eternal soul. This is the only life you will ever live.